we can't seem to find them. But they must be around here somewhere, mustn't they? Scientists estimate that there are billions of Earth-like planets in our galaxy alone, enough that if you visited a new one every single second, as we've been doing since the start of the video, it would take you thousands of years just to get a glimpse of all of them. Some are more than 10 billion years old, and some are younger. Our own Blue Mama has been around for 4.7 billion years. Looking good, Earth. She's already had a thing called life on her for at least the last 3.7 billion. Why does it seem all the other Earth-like planets are lagging behind? It makes you wonder. Where are all the aliens? In this video, I'm going to give you a few potential solutions to that question. Where are all the aliens? Some responses are pretty simple, and some are downright intriguing. As a bonus at the end, I'll tell you exactly where I think they're hiding. We can't discuss a question like where are all the aliens without getting into the Fermi Paradox. At some time in the 1950s, an Italian-American physicist by the name of Enrico Fermi mused, "So if life is so common, we should have seen it by now, right?" In doing so, he kicked off the much-discussed Fermi Paradox, which, with less pizza, sounds like, if the universe is so big, and if there are so many Earth-like planets, and if life is likely to happen on planets like ours, well, we should have detected it by now, right? Given that you found your way to this channel, I'd bet you're probably already familiar with Fermi and his paradox. You probably even have some of your own answers to it. But let's jump into some of its well-known potential solutions. Solution 1. Maybe life just isn't that common. Maybe it's super rare for the correct chemical conditions and interactions to occur on a planet for life to arise. Here on Earth, life is made up of carbon and hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen atoms, and a few more, that at some stage all jazzed together to make molecules that had a very special property: self-replication. Without diving in too deep, if anything can one way or another reproduce itself, if it ever happens to reproduce a version of itself that's better at reproduction, well, that's evolution. And if that goes on for long enough, you can go from haphazard proteins with a replicating superpower to protocells to complex organisms, all the way to Komodo dragons. And kittens, of course. It just takes the right conditions, billions of years apparently, and a lot of luck. But it's possible that the amount of luck it takes is more than just 1 in 6 billion, and so it's possible that the Earth is the only planet that bears the beacon of life. It would be a little lonely, but it would definitely give us something to be proud of. Something to value and nurture, and spread. But what if it's not like that? What if chemicals cooking up self-replicating molecules is probable, and so has occurred elsewhere? Solution 2. Well, perhaps aliens haven't found us yet because it's uncommon for intelligent life to evolve. I mean, humans have only been writing things down for about 5,000 years, and we only learned to communicate at all at best 150,000 years ago. The dinosaurs, for example, didn't get too far with the wheel, let alone construction or agriculture or chatting or writing. Maybe there has been life on other planets, or there is life on other planets, but it's dumb as a dandelion. And that's why it's not said hi, because it's dumb, literally. So, solution 3, let's say life does commonly form, and it does eventually get smart because it turns out that's just the way things tend to happen with chemistry and evolution and probability. Well then maybe it filters itself out of existence with some of its tinkerings, before it gets to the colonizing everything everywhere and making its presence known phase. Maybe Big Smart goes to Big Fight, Big Boom, Big Hot, Big Sick, or some other great inevitable filter that Big us. Like, do you remember that bit in Oppenheimer, the film, based on the really real, I'm not kidding, this really happened reality, when the clever people thought that setting off the first ever nuke might incinerate the entire atmosphere of the planet, but probably it wouldn't, so let's just see. And then they set off the nuke anyway? and luckily it didn't incinerate the entire atmosphere of our planet, well, maybe scientific progress has something like that up its sleeve, where fortune doesn't favor the brave. So let's recap. Fermi Paradox solutions for where the aliens are. We've had 3 so far. 1. Life doesn't usually happen. There are no aliens. 2. Intelligence doesn't usually happen. There are no smart aliens. Or 3. These things do happen, but then boom, great filter. Civilization gets too smart for its own good and wipes itself out for some reason. All the aliens are dead or are about to make themselves so, and we're headed that way too. But before we get on to my own opinion, here are some other interesting mentions. Solution 4. Extraterrestrial life does exist, and it's intelligent, and it produces signals that we could detect, but these signals have to travel over great distances and haven't had time to reach us. Here I'd argue that the galaxy is just 100,000 light years across, and electromagnetic signals move at the speed of light. So given the 100,000 years travel time for a signal to get from one side of the galaxy to the other, either humans were some of the first to figure out radios, or the universe should be abuzz with little green rock and roll. I don't think this solution makes sense. We need a better Fermi explanation. Solution 5. Maybe we're not looking for the right signals. To be fair, there are still tortoises alive today that were born before we invented radio. We're here just barely investing in a few fancy telescopes to read light rays and X-rays and radio waves and infrared waves and even the odd gravity wave. But perhaps there's some other type of signal which we haven't learned how to detect or transmit yet. And perhaps that's the standard intergalactic telephone line. It might be ringing right now while we're out waiting for mail. Maybe we'll figure it out soon, a few tortoises from now. Solution 6. It could be that extraterrestrial civilizations give up broadcasting in the search for signs of life after a few hundreds or thousands of years, because they don't find anything. So maybe there are aliens, but they're not currently online. I don't think this solution is too elegant, because emitting signs of life seems like it would be a byproduct of being alive, especially for an intelligent species. But this does lead us on to Solution 7, and here's a worrying one. Maybe aliens don't broadcast and avoid emitting any signs of life because they're afraid of what might hear them and then come knocking at their door. That's the ever-creepy dark forest theory, that all civilizations keep quiet to avoid detection by more hostile civilizations, like a hunter hiding silently from other potential predators in a dark forest. If humans are anything to go by, one civilization discovering another doesn't always go too well for the discoveree. Or then there's this, Solution 8, very similar. Perhaps aliens keep quiet because they know of an overwhelming force and don't wish to attract it. Or Solution 9, perhaps they were told to keep quiet. Stepping away from the terrifying, but just for a moment, Solution 10, maybe civilizations more advanced than us just aren't that interested in communicating with less advanced beings. I guess you could call that theory the we're ants to them theory. It's pretty self-explanatory. Or what's to say that Solution 11, the they're already here hypothesis, is wrong? If life and intelligence are likely and commonplace, then it's perfectly probable that aliens have already visited Earth, or even live here. Perhaps in a form or location we haven't detected. Maybe they station in the seas, or wear invisibility devices, or shapeshift to look just like us, to blend in and rule over us, or they liaise with powerful governments, all the while studying us or benefiting from something we output. There are as many ways the Greys could already be here as there are podcasts discussing them, and for all we know, they're correct. And that would be very similar to Solution 12, the zoo hypothesis, that ETs are aware of us, but they've chosen not to visit or otherwise disturb our natural evolution, that we are curious little animals in a red-taped space, behind bureaucratic bars, for observation only, perhaps by the decree of some galaxy-wide custom, or perhaps just for the fun of it. We humans, after all, do avoid visiting certain uncontacted peoples on our own planet. The planetarium hypothesis, Solution 13, is where it starts to get wacky. It posits that we're in a simulation or planetarium designed by some higher being, some really smart alien civilization. This may sound like pure science fiction or good old religion, but it's entirely possible. We're just starting to crack AI now. It might not be long before we as a species are able to enshrine artificially intelligent pets in simulated worlds, or even within a habitat inside the physical world. What could beings another few million years of evolution ahead of us do? The creators of our planetarium world might not have made any other aliens for us to meet, and perhaps that's why we don't see any aliens out there. What's more, our creators themselves might not fancy making an introduction. At least, not to all of us. The planetarium hypothesis is a bit of a mind-bender, being very Truman Showy or Matrixy or Inception-y. But don't worry, if you and I really do live in an enormous enclosure or simulation or dream, it's probably really hard to know that we do. And even if we somehow figured it out, it's not like we'd be able to do anything about it. So we may as well get on with it. And in that spirit, let's move on. Solution number 14, the transcension hypothesis. Back to the real physical world now, or at least accepting it as such. This is the idea that advanced civilizations evolve in ways that make them incomprehensible or undetectable to us. Perhaps they come up with technologies that make it more convenient for them to live in a black hole or travel to other dimensions or times. There's no knowing what could be possible for humans 1,000 generations down the line. Maybe all intelligent life eventually sees it fit to transcend from this plane of existence. It might sound like a bit much, but how different is it from our current existence compared to how our grandparents or ancestors were just dozens or hundreds of years ago? In what plane is your consciousness spending time? That's something we'll come back to a little later on. Now, that's not an exhaustive list, not by any means. There are many such suggested solutions to Fermi's famous question. If you know of others, or if you have your own thoughts, leave them in the comments. Start a conversation, talk to each other. Set an example for the aliens. But first, I promised you my own opinion. Hold on to your seat, this might not be pleasant. What's the thing that you want most in the world? And I don't mean free Kit Kats or $1 million. I mean, what's something that you would never be able to say no to? How about free Kit Kats for life, with no adverse health outcomes? Or what about free pizza too while you're at it? Never having to work again? What about $1 billion? No. Dream bigger. I think some of the Stoics among you could still say no to that. How about the ability to fly? To teleport to your faraway friends? How about super speed and invulnerability to getting hurt while you're playing flying teleporting paintball with them? What if you offended one of them? Would you like to be able to rewind time and do it over? What would your life be like if you stayed with your childhood sweetheart? If you looked however you wanted to look? What if you could talk to your long-lost loved ones again? What if they were perfectly fit and conscious? And they could live forever and choose to die if they wanted to, and you could see them or not as you wanted to? What if you and all your friends and family could sail the skies and stars in a golden ship with waterfalls for masts, and mansion corridors with Michelin galleys, starting stories, religions, civilizations, and species in perfect places, calmly found? And anything else you could imagine. How could you say no to that? We are bags of meat living in a beautiful world of delicate balances. Scrape too deep and we wound and bleed, fall too far and we break. Wait too long and we loosen and begin to fade away. Breathe the wrong air and you'll get sick. Breathe no air and you'll suffocate. And you'll never fly, or teleport, or get a do-over, or see those gone again. Our world is one of a struggle that maximizes little beauties. And while that very may well be the best way, or the right way of doing things, when some big future corporation comes along and asks you, would you like the gift of flight? It's free to use, easy to brain install, and just $10 a month to remove ads. Everyone's going to sign up, and they're all going to get hooked to just flying around in these little real-feeling, fully immersive video game simulation world waking dreams. But it's not just flight, is it? It's anything. I mean, if you can fly in a simulation, what else can you do? Anything becomes possible. And importantly, everything becomes safe. And that's going to be very addictive. Breathe the wrong air, and you'll be fine. Breathe no air, and you'll be fine. You'll fly or teleport and get do-overs and relive your best memories, and meet with your lost loved ones and become a king or a queen or a bird or a planet or a sentence or an ecstatic thought or all of them at the same time, we are going to get hooked. A bit like we did with fire, clothes, farming, electricity, phones, texting, the internet, social media, watching shorts, asking ChatGPT. It'll start innocent, a superpower here, a fully customizable avatar there. There will be safety rules, usage limits, but there won't be for long. The tech would get better and the limitations would lax, and everyone's already spending time on the platform. It's already pretty addictive. But what's more, it's better than the outside. It's safer than the outside. The outside is bleak, boring. Your real body is weak, unreliable, vulnerable, hungry, horny, and bored. All those problems solved instantly, magnificently, assuredly, worrylessly. You can do anything. And the outside body begins to wither. Your outside body. Well, you know, they say, you can stay inside. You can stay inside. Lots of people already do. You can literally just, pop. Congratulations, your consciousness has been uploaded. Give it a few years and there'll be no one left on the outside. We all evolved. Like Neanderthals to sapiens, by the way. When was the last time you saw a Neanderthal? We humans are smart. And in my little theory, so are all the aliens. And so will be all the aliens to come. They figured out fire and farming and chemicals and circuits and video games and AI, and they looked up to the stars and wondered, where are all the aliens? They sent out a ship or two. But quicker than anyone predicted, almost overnight, things changed. At some stage, sufficiently advanced civilizations figure out that they can live inside their already perfectly realistic, infinitely customizable video game-derived simulations, their own planetariums. And it's so safe and perfect and addictive and full of infinite possibilities that the laughable, disgusting thought of leaving that existence would be akin to you or I, considering exchanging our comfortable human lives for the existence of a worm. So, that's my theory. Aliens have all made some technological looking glass to Wonderland, and they're either too terrified of the risks of the old physical world, or too hooked on having split consciousness, infinite Kit Kat energized orgies with 7,000 different special varieties of themselves to come and say hi. The universe is a full motel of quiet opiate addicts, safely bound in dens of impossible dreams. And that's solution 15. Well, I hope that's been interesting and perhaps a little thought-provoking for you. Mainly, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be hanging around in the comments to hear your thoughts. Here are a few actions you can take to support this channel, and the rewards associated with each of them. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Until next time, keep it real. Or don't.